Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of the Insurance Television Network. I'm your host, Joe Battaglia, and this is who?
Trish.
Hey, guys. How are you? Hey, today we're going to talk about something which is really, really important. How many of you are looking to increase your production?
I am.
Everybody, right? That's what they always say. How do we increase your production? Here's a very simple thing I want you to think about every single day. Trish, what about that whole boss thing we were talking about? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, this is how I think, how I have to put it to keep myself highly motivated. I think, what if I was my boss? What if I was my employee? Would I be happy with me? Would I fire me? Would I be happy with my production level, the amount of phone calls I'm making? Would I? Yes. I would be happy.
So what you're saying is, if you went into work at 11 o'clock and you started at 9 o'clock, would your boss fire you?
Probably.
If you had to start your job at 9 o'clock and you came in at 9 o'clock, but then you went and did nothing until 11 o'clock came, would your boss fire you?
Yes.
Suppose you went to a lunch and you spent all day at lunch, would your boss fire you?
Yep.
Suppose you got nothing done at your job all day, would your boss fire you?
Yes.
Suppose there was a lot of customers in your store and you sold nothing all day, would your boss fire you?
Yes.
Yes. That's the point of the show today. Would you fire yourself? Think about this, right? Would you fire yourself? Only you know the activities you do each day, right? Those activities that you do each day, your production, your activities, well, they all come together to give you your production, right? So what we're going to look at today is your SMART system, So let's look at S right now, specific. So in order for us to be specific, right, Trish, we have to have clear-cut activities every day. Every day, because you are your own boss, clear-cut tasks to do. What are some of them that you would do?
Well, the number one thing for me is phone calls.
Phone calls,
okay.
Get
on the phone. I mean, if I don't keep producing or having things, creating activity, I'm not doing my job.
It's not going to work, right?
No, it's not going to work.
Now, a lot of agents, they get discouraged from making phone calls. But unfortunately, that's the way our business is conducted, right? On the phone, right?
It's true.
So, I mean, people hang up on you.
Oh, yeah.
Do you cry?
I don't care.
No, you just move on, right? That's the way it is, right? It happens next, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have these clear-cut tasks every day. So making phone calls, what's some other things you would do?
Well, I visit senior centers. I try and book seminars. I do mailings. I'm always working at it. I'm trying to create activity every day.
What about mailing things? Do you mail?
Yeah, mailings. Mm-hmm.
So mailing, I know a lot of agents, a lot of the viewers, they always mail things, whether it's postcards, whether it's letters, whether it's cross-selling opportunities, thank you letters. You need to always be doing something. So what we want to look at for the S, be specific on the tasks that you're going to do every day, because if you don't do them, you're going to get what?
Nothing.
And you're going to get what? Fired. We don't want to do that. That's pretty good. We're going to get fired. We don't want to do that, right? So it's very important. So another thing we want to look at is the tasks that you do, right, are they measurable? Are those tasks measurable? Well, how could you measure making phone calls?
Well, it's one thing to say, I'm going to make phone calls today, and today I make 3, tomorrow I make 10, the next day I make 100. That's not going to work out. If you had a boss, would he like to watch you on the days you made 3? No, you'd get fired. So every day I make as many phone calls as I possibly can if I'm not on an appointment at a senior center or doing another activity. That is my job.
Do you have a sheet that you check off the phone calls? Like if you make it, because a lot of agents do that, and I kind of am a fan of that, because you need to start, and again, if we're going to measure what you do, you need to keep track of it. Because if I said to you on one day, I says, how many phone calls you make today? A lot. Well, what's a lot? Was it 10? Was it 67?
Who knows what a lot is to you?
Right.
It could be 6.
Right. So we need to know, right? Because it's got to be measurable. Right. So again, you got to measure it somehow, right? Mm-hmm. If you say, well, I made visits to senior centers. Well, where? Where'd you go? Do you have a log sheet of where you visited, right? Because that's important. So in other words, you have to have these very specific tasks, right? And you have to be able to measure them. And the only way to measure them, keeping track. It's very important to keep track of what you do, because if you do not, your inner self, your boss, is tracking you, right? Think about this.
Oh, yeah.
So whether you work for somebody or it's you alone, you're being tracked by everything that you do. So you need to start tracking your business. So that's the M. Now, A. What's A for?
Well, achievability.
Achievability.
Is it achievable? Do I want to make, let's say I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make 1,000 phone calls today, Joe.
Oh, that's pretty aggressive, I think.
It's aggressive.
Right.
But it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen,
because
no.
it's just not possible.
No way.
So
no way.
if you set standards for yourself that you can actually achieve and not at a leisurely pace,
Right.
like your boss is watching you, and you work that way, and it's something that's feasible, it's all going to work for you.
So this achievability, right? So you have to put, a number that can really work, right? So,
Right.
and remember the number can't be too small and it can't be too big, right? It's got to be right? Because remember the boss is looking at you, right? So if you're picking up the phone every 10 minutes, well, I don't know about that. But if you're picking up the phone every few minutes, well, that's something now, right?
That's something.
So, how many minutes are there in a day that you need to keep active? Because what you need to do is remember, you're always what? You're always attracting new clients, right? And you're also maintaining and selling more products to your existing clients.
Exactly.
So your book of business, the way you divide your day up, right? You have to make sure you're doing both those tasks too, right? So it has to be very achievable, right? You have to put that in your mind. I'm going to do this every day. Make sure it's achievable. Now I'm going to come to what? Relevant. How relevant the tasks that you are doing, how relevant are they to the success of your business? So for example, if I say, Trish, you need to start making some visits today. Well, we're selling Medicare, right? And if you're selling Medicare, can you go to a pet shop and visit some pet shops? No.
Bloomingdale's?
No, you can't do that. Maybe there's some very wealthy seniors in Bloomingdale's, right? But the idea is you have to make sure where you're going, you're playing in traffic, right?
Exactly.
So you have to make sure it's relevant. Your visits have to be relevant to where the people are. If you make phone calls, we're selling to people who are turning 65 and above 65. You don't go visit a health spa with those all young folks there. They're not going to buy Medicare products from you. So you have to make sure it's relevant. The tasks are relevant. Are you mailing out postcards about Medicare to kindergarten students? You can't do that, right? It's not going to work. Everything you do has to have a purpose for it, right? I'm sure you'd agree. Now, you have to look at the big T, time. Okay. Well, with the time frame that you are doing whatever you're doing, can all of those things that we discussed, specific, measurable, achievable, can that all be done in a time that you allotted yourself? Do you have enough time to make it happen? And you know what, Trish? How do you divide your day? Like, what do you do? So if we look at time management, right? How do you divide your day up? Do you do what certain things that you do?
Well, I am very rigid with my work schedule. I'm Monday through Friday, at the minimum, I am at work. So
Okay.
in the morning, I usually take care of some existing clients, maybe get some mailings ready. Then late morning, early afternoon, I am on the phone. I am making phone calls. End of the day, I'm backtracking to do doctors, hospitals, and meds. I do appointments on the weekend too, because I am a very tough boss for myself.
That's good.
So I am always working. I do take time off, but I am Monday through Friday. I don't play around. I don't go to the movies. I don't go to lunch.
You mean business.
I'm working.
That's good.
So,
That's very
yeah.
good. Okay. What I want to look at, so again, we have to look at what's the tasks that we're going to do to create production. That's what it's all about, right? And if you don't do that production, right, if you don't do those tasks, the production won't come. And if the production doesn't come, what will your boss say to you, which is you? That's all you need to do. You have to face reality and be
Right.
realistic. And every day when you look in that mirror, at the end of the day, did you do what you set out to do? I always say that nobody plans to fail, right? But as they say, if you fail to plan, nothing's going to happen. When you wake up in the morning, how many of you after you brush your teeth say, today's a day I'm going to fail. I look forward to it. Did you do that today? No. Everybody has these ambitions of writing up new clients and all the great stuff. You see, if you have no tasks ahead of you, how could it happen, right, Trish?
It's not going to happen.
So what I want to really look at is, if I was to ask you, Trish, the old way, right? So if I said to you, Trish, what's some of your goals? What were the goals that you set for 2020? What were the goals when it was New Year's 2020? Everybody says, I have this goal. What's some goals people have?
Okay. I'm gonna add on 200 new clients this year. I'm gonna get a new house. I'm gonna get a new car. I'm gonna get a new this. I'm gonna get a new
Don't forget to make that $1 million.
Make $1 million.
Right.
It's gonna be amazing.
It's going to be an amazing year. And then guess what? Reality sets in And what happens? You didn't. You see, I need you to change your whole mindset, right? So what we want to look at, the goal is not to get that expensive car, the expensive house on the hill, the $1 million income. It's not that. Your goal is activities. You see, what are the activities you're going to do every day? What's the tasks you're going to do every day? Like making those phone calls, right?
Exactly.
Like mailing out postcards, right? Like visiting senior centers. Those are all the tasks that you need. You see, all those beautiful things at the end, those are rewards from doing the right tasks. If you don't have activities going on, you're never going to achieve anything. And that inner boss you have is going to fire you, and well deserved too, right? Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
So what you want to look at is, what is the payoff? What's the payoff for your hard work? What is it?
The payoff is you're building a book of business.
Yeah. Keeps on giving, right?
That's the payoff.
It keeps on giving.
If you make the payoff a car or a house, now what? Let's say you get that car. Now what? Now you're at zero.
No, can't do that.
Can't do it.
So you always have to have, your goal is always every day to have activities. Because here's what's going to happen to you. At some point in this business, and if you follow everything we share with you to do, at some point, right, when you really get this business, you're going to have a revelation. And what's going to happen is you're not going to believe the money you're making, right? Because if you start thinking about money, you got your thought on the wrong thing. The idea is think about the tasks you're doing every day, because the money will follow. So what we want to bring out during this episode is, you got to be smart, right? You're all smart, right? We learned about the SMART system, right? And Trish, what do you think about the SMART system?
I think it's very smart. I think it works.
There you go.
It breaks it down. I mean, even like dieting, it would be the same thing. If you think about just the end goal, but you don't pay attention to what you're eating today,
that's true.
Not going to work.
It's not
the same thing.
Exactly. So, what we want to definitely share with you at this time is that everybody, you have tasks ahead of you. Some you like to do and some you don't want to do. Not everybody likes to call on the phone, but that's a shame. You got to make those calls because it can work for you, because it will work for you. You just have to do it. Remember, there's always somebody watching over your shoulder, right? Whether it's your boss or whether it's you, right? Trish, you don't like when you don't produce every day. You don't like that, right?
I don't like it.
How do you feel? If you don't produce every day, what's the feeling that you get? Once you get that feeling, you're off to the races. Nothing's going to stop you. You're invincible, and that's what it's all about, right? So, Trish, is there any last words you want to share with our viewers about being smart?
Well, I would say just do it. Just do the activity. Don't procrastinate. Don't go in late. Don't work from home if you can. I mean, that does not work.
Well, let me ask you something. Let's get back to something, right? Yeah. So a lot of the viewers, and because the insurance business is so flexible, you can work in your own home, right? What happens when you work at home, Trish?
I get probably less than half the amount of work done at home than I do here, than I do it.
Why?
Because there's too many distractions.
Like the doorbell rings, the mailman comes, you got to fill out a certified letter.
The dog's hungry, now I want a nice coffee. Oh, what's that?
And don't forget your friends calling you because they have nothing better to do and they want to chew your ear off for an hour, right?
Yeah, people want you to go out to lunch. I mean, that's great. Can't do it.
No, sorry, can't do it. You're growing a business now, right? And you have to keep your eye on the end game. And that's to become very, very productive. So with this, I just want to share something with you. Change your goals. Your goals is not that nice new house. Those are rewards for doing activities, right? Makes sense, right? So look, folks, I want to thank you for being on today. Trish, it's always a pleasure having you on today.
I love being
always
here.
New concepts. Love to have that, right? I hope you enjoyed this episode from the Insurance Television Network. I'm Joe Battaglia, your host. This is Trish. And again, most important is this. These are designed to help you grow. If there's any topics or any concerns that you want to learn more about, hey, write in, talk to us. We're here to help you. With that, make this day productive. Do lots of texts out there. And if anybody calls you to go out to a lunch or do this to waste time, remember, there are certain things that waste time and certain things that make money. So what's the things you have to do?
You have to get busy. You have to make phone calls.
Get busy. That's it.
Yeah.
Guys,
moving.
You know what? We got to get out of here because we got to get busy.
Make phone calls.
We'll talk to you soon, guys. Take care. Bye now.
Bye.